everyone, and welcome to Half Hour with Ted Lasso, winner of 7 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Comedy Series. So for the next 30 minutes, we are going to be joined by 4 cast members who really changed the game in season 2 of Ted Lasso. We have Hannah Waddingham, who plays Rebecca, owner of AFC Richmond, who goes through some mighty big life changes in season 2. Juno Temple as Keely, best pal to Rebecca, best girlfriend of Roy Kent, and now owner of her own PR agency. Nick Mohammed, who at the end of season 1, he was Nate the Great. At the end of season 2, well, we're going to get into all that. Wow. And then Jimoh, who plays Sam, makes some very important life and career changes in season 2. Oh, and he also gets involved with his boss, Rebecca. So welcome, everyone. And we're going to just roll into our first clip here featuring Nick and Juno and Hannah. So let's take a look at our first clip from Ted Lasso season 2.
Hello, sir. Can I help you?
Yes, Nathan Shelley, party of 3.
Let's see, Mr. Shelby.
Yes, Shelby. Sorry, I should have said Shelby.
No, that is not your name.
It's pretty close.
No, start again, from the top.
May I help you?
Yes, Shelley, party of 3.
Oh, yes, Mr. Shelby.
It's Shelley, and you know it, you dithering kestrel!
Jesus.
No, too much. You don't need to be loud, Nathan. You just need to be commanding.
With all due respect, it's different for me, Miss Walton. You command every room you walk into.
Oh, hardly. Have you ever been in a room full of football club chairmen?
No.
Every time I walk into one of those meetings, they look at me like some schoolgirl with pigtails.
Oh, you'd look well fit with pigtails.
I do. But I have a secret. I make myself big. Before I go into the room, I find somewhere private. I stand up on my tiptoes, put my arms in the air, and make myself as big as possible to feel my own power. Like this.
You're amazing. Let's invade France.
It's a bit silly, but it works for me. Find your own thing, but don't back down, Nathan. You deserve whatever you want.
Okay, so Hannah, Hannah Juno, really kind of inspiring Nate here. But Hannah, do you think with all this advice that you might have created a monster here?
Right. Can I just say, none of it is my fault. You didn't know that was simmering just under the surface. I do feel like, me as Hannah, I actually do feel for Nate deeply. Me as Rebecca, I want to smash him in the face. But I do see that he's had a very sad kind of journey to that point.
What about you, Juno? Do you think that maybe you kind of like went a little too far with giving Nate some much needed confidence?
The main thing I remember from that day is both me and Nick being blown away by Hannah's final roar, and also us not being able to keep a straight face with dithering kestrel. I don't know how we managed to actually get a take where you and me didn't fully ruin that. But do I think that we gave him the wrong encouragement? I actually think we give him the right encouragement, and then actually somebody called Rupert perhaps gives him the wrong encouragement and takes an empowered, delicate human to a side that maybe seems more glitzy and glamorous than what I think Nate's heart really kind of desires, actually. I think we help inspire him in a good way.
It's like Rupert is like Emperor Palpatine.
You're right. Totally.
We're the Rebel Alliance trying to do good, and then he meets Emperor Palpatine.
Okay, well, so that makes Nate Anakin Skywalker here, a budding Darth Vader. And Nick, I want to ask you, like, how much fun was it for you as an actor to go through such a transformation with Nate, such an evolution into into ending season 2 so fundamentally different from ending season 1?
Ultimately, really fun, because I think as an actor, you kind of relish any, especially in a supporting role as well. The fact that he got to go on a journey, and and quite a significant one, particularly in season 2, it really felt it just I sort of cherished every moment of it. In terms of it certainly wasn't easy, though. I think that with season 1, Nate, I was absolutely in a kind of comfort area of being sort of awkward and sort of doing kind of the awkward comedy thing, and there are some moments of that in season 2, but they kind of slowly get replaced by, I guess, slightly more emotional, dramatic, all kind of unspoken, just a lot of kind of unspoken stuff. And so it was just less familiar. So I just had to kind of walk a bit of a tightrope, really. And I think it was really just through a lot of support from all the kind of brilliant actors on the show, but also brilliant directors that we had, and incredible writers, sort of making that journey feel believable. Because I think it could have, it was so easily could have tipped into being unbelievable and just too big a heel turn for it to be considered credible. But they, as writers, they just managed to sort of drip feed all of these just little moments. In fact, that that scene you've just played, Rebecca saying that to Nate, of course, he twists it inside his head, you deserve anything that you want, or whatever the specific line is. He absolutely twists that into what sort of suits him at the time, into something a bit toxic. I don't know if you remember, Juno, was just that entrance we had to do. You had to kind of be holding on to me and sort of dragging me towards Hannah's desk. And I think I tried to make my feet like really floppy. So I was kind of on flippers because I used to be nervous. And I also, because we don't usually get that many scenes together, do we? 3.
No,
in fact, that's
never. We were
so
excited.
We were so
excited.
I
thought we were going to get told off, because we were really, they were like, guys, can you, honestly?
Yeah.
And we were like, I'm so sorry. We're so sorry. We was literally like, we'd all won a competition to be in a scene with the other one.
That was a really hard day. Yeah, to get through with a straight face. It was insane. Dithering Kestrel. I will never forget that.
Wow. Well, we have another clip we want to run. This one is Toheeb Jimoh, who has also an amazing season. And so let's take a look at this clip of a really touching scene between Sam and Ted.
No teammate has ever made me feel as bad about myself as Jamie did.
Okay, look, Sam, I understand your anger towards him.
It's not him. I'm mad at you. You didn't even talk to us about it.
Honestly, Sam, I didn't think there was anything to talk about. I told Jamie it wasn't gonna happen.
Oh, now I feel awkward.
I bet.
Did everybody see me when I stormed off the pitch in the video?
No, no one saw that. Yeah, man, everyone saw that. Come on.
Of course they did. Coach, I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Sam. All right? You are a leader on this team. I want you to speak your mind.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, my father says every time he sees you on TV, he's very happy that I am here. That I'm in safe hands with you.
Well, that means a lot. I appreciate that. I still got to make you run a bunch of laps, though, right?
Oh, I was hoping you would.
Okay, all right. Keep going.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very well handled, sir.
Jeez. Thank you, Higgins.
Brilliant.
Wow. Really great. And Toheeb, Sam becomes a leader, not just for AFC Richmond, but also in life. I mean, he's almost poached. He has a little bit of a conflict with his father that he resolves. And then, of course, there's the romance with Rebecca. What's your take, Toheeb, on just how Sam really came into his own in so many ways in season 2?
Oh, man, I loved it. I thought it was, it's like, it's always really interesting because, like when we start the first season, like Sam's just this like sweet, innocent little kid who's away from home. He's like being bullied a little bit. And like, he just like hasn't found himself at all. And so like the journey for season 2, especially because of the the Sam and Rebecca stuff was just to like grow him from this like sweet, like cheerful kid into somebody who like plausibly can do all of these things, who can stand up to like a massive oil company, who can like date this like really influential, powerful, gorgeous woman, and also like say no to this big money move away from like this small team that's fighting to get itself back into the Premier League. So it's just like, it's crazy because you're right, it is only the second season, but it feels like the journey from season 1 Sam to the end of season 2 Sam is immense. And he's, you know, still like a 21-year-old boy. But, yeah, no, it was such a like beautiful actor's journey to go on.
The bit we had to do in the cupboard when Sam said, "No, I'm only going to get better," I think is the most classy. It was the most beautifully delivered, understated, twinkly, classy line. It's just magic.
There's a lot of magic.
It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful journey to go on, man. And like these guys, like, you know, I was just happy that I got to do themes with Hannah. Like, and a godsend of a scene partner, and yeah, it was great.
I think we had quite a nice time. I'm not going to lie.
It was nice.
Well, let's talk about the romance between Sam and Rebecca, and I would love to hear, starting with you, Hannah, like when you first read that, and when you both first read that, and then when you both first approached it, like how did you approach the romance between Sam and Rebecca? Let's start with you on that, Hannah.
I mean, for a start, when I read it, I was like, "Hello, what now?" And then he came into my room, stood in the doorway, just gently shocked. And I was like, "Getting to know you." But because we've always been such good pals on the show and we dig each other immensely, we were like, okay, we're going to do this. And I think the most important thing for me and Toheeb was to make it not just about the age difference or the seriousness of it, but to go, actually, these two really bring out the sunshine in each other.
Yeah.
It's really an immediately effortless, joyful thing that I would like it to continue and see where they go, Rebecca and Sam, because it's not conventional. And to be able to play, like in other jobs, I've been able to play things that aren't the norm and the obvious. And it's really a joyful thing and hugely satisfying. And I really cherished every little bit that Toheeb and I got to do together.
Yeah, like, well, I want to second all of that. It was so seamless. Like, so many people were like, "Oh my God, like, were you nervous?" And I was like, no, like, it was just silly. A lot of the time we were just like making each other laugh, and like, it was like being at work with, you know, like one of your best friends. Like, it was great. But for me, like, when I found out, it was great and it was cool. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is going to be really like, it's going to be dope." But then I was also like, I just want this to work. Like, I was like, this is like actually to make this plausible, like for this, again, like Sam at that point was, all we had seen of him was just like this, like kind of innocent, like oddly emotionally mature, but like just this bubbly character. And like, then we had to like ground him a lot. Like, I was like, you know, me and like Jackie, the costume designer, were like, okay, how do we dress him now? Like, you can't just wear tracksuits every day. Like, now we have to wear suits and suit jackets. But like, this is the thing. It's like, you just like, we just got to see like, he needed a certain kind of like swagger, and like, do you know what I mean? There was like just a lot more richness that like we got to like give him, which was dope. And so like, that was my thing straight away, was like, all right, I just don't want him to be like, there's no way that would ever happen. And and the fact that we pulled that off, I was like, all right, cool, that's the win. That's the win of season 2.
It really is. I mean, it was such a beautiful relationship. And again, a relationship that does go through an arc from that meeting at the bar to the end of the season. You know, and Juno, I want to ask you, so Keely's really in a good place, you know, in a relationship with Roy. And then Jamie kisses her, or, you know, tells her that he's still in love with her. And then Nate kisses her. So really big shake up there. I mean, first of all, let's talk about the Juno, between you and Nick, where he plants one on her.
Again, what a great day. We had a blast that day. And I remember there was a moment of improv that came out of my mouth, which you then called me out on, Nick.
Oh God.
Kissed me, and I went, "Do you not remember this?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it. It happens." And you like, that was genius. Like, it just happens to Keely all the time. I was like, oh no.
It would have been weird if that was the take home from that scene.
No, but I remember that happening, and I remember because it was a moment again that, you know, you and me talking how we really hadn't gotten to work together much throughout season 1, and then these really brilliant little scenes that started happening in season 2, where it was kind of, yeah, you're coming to Keely for some advice, and she's like, yeah, you know what? I have the answers. I can help you with this kind of stuff. So it was sort of feeding each other in a way that I thought was really lovely, you know? And then that moment of finding the suit. And I think something I love so much about Keely as a character is I really think she is genuine. She can't lie. And
Sounds like,
you know, when she's saying, and so when you're, you know, when you see that beat where she's telling Nate, like, you look well fit, she really means it. And so I think him taking that compliment and seeing it be so genuine, that's why he feels that, because she's been so genuine with him from the minute he came into her office, sort of asking for some help. And so I think that moment when it was a misread, I remember when we were shooting it, it felt horrible. And especially because there's that beat where obviously, you know, I wasn't behind the curtain with you, Nick, but I remember us talking about whether I should stay or not. And we decided that I should. And it made it even more heartbreaking, because whatever you were doing in there, it was like you could cut the tension with a knife, and you felt it. And it wasn't, you know, and that obviously it was caught on camera, but it was quite extraordinary to feel that in the room. And I remember afterwards we had to have a nice just hug it out moment, because it was pretty, it was pretty devastating, that just, you know, letting someone down like that when you didn't know you were about to.
I think as well. I mean, it was, you know, again, like Toheeb and Hannah were just saying as well, that I think it was all about the believability of it as well, that kind of ended up kind of carrying the scene. And, you know, it's gross what Nate does to a degree. You know, you know, he's really inappropriate, and he absolutely misinterprets that. I can see why he misinterprets it, and I can almost empathize and sympathize with him, but I can't condone the action. But, you know, it's just a sign of just things just kind of, he's really messed up by that point, isn't he? And I think that he's,
and the rejection that he's getting, right? It's this constant kind of quiet rejection that even when Roy doesn't make it a big deal. And it's like, oh my God.
He's gathering his head, isn't he? Which is so easy to do.
Completely. But rather than him, which is the right reaction, would be like, oh God, I can't believe I've sort of betrayed Keely's trust, and that all I can focus on is my own sort of rejection from her. Why isn't her boyfriend more annoyed at me for you know, because it makes him feel inferior or whatever it is. You know, the fact that's this, you know, he's just so selfish by that point, rather than kind of caring about, you know, anybody else's feelings, and you know, ruining that thing that he had with Keely, which was a really nice thing, and it was a really genuine thing that Nate had with Keely, and he had that with nobody else, and just in that moment he just ruins it. And it's like, what are you doing?
I think on the flip side as well, like the fact that Keely's response immediately like is, oh, you're okay, it's completely fine, don't worry, you're fine, you're good. And like his response is, oh, like, I wonder how Roy's gonna feel about this. Like, maybe I'm a big dog now. Like, I just, do you know what I mean? Like, I think in a way, like in that moment, like Keely's like a Ted Lasso case study. Like, that's what the show is about. Of like, you know, I don't know what's going on with you. Like, it was kind of weird, whatever. I'm good, but like, are you okay? And you know what I mean?
Completely.
Well, James Lance, I was doing a conversation just the other day with James Lance with the guest stars of Ted Lasso, and Nick, James Lance singled out the scene where you turn and to your face in the mirror and you spit in the mirror, and he was blown away by your performance. He singled out that moment. Really amazing.
Well, that's very kind. I'm sure that's not true, but it's very kind of to hear that. Thank you.
He always.
I think it's true, because it's a moment which breaks your heart. It didn't repulse me. It made me cry. So I think that's an extraordinary reaction to have when somebody is that repulsed by themselves in that moment, that they have to, you know, again, the advice that you're given earlier on by Rebecca, which is to find your power, but actually your power in that moment is what repulses you. And it's like this, it's, oh God, it's so heartbreaking.
What we get in the mirror, looking at him, is like, it goes darkness, sadness, desperation, appalled by his own existence, trying to get strength from somewhere. It's like
hungry.
Flick, 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 flick. And what did you say again?
I just said hungry, just as if that was Nate is always hungry. The one thing I will say, and this is true, I think, I mean, Eve, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but we can't talk about season 3, but like devouring season 3 scripts like this, going, what is happening to everyone? Like, and the writing is so good. But it's just a really good example. Like, if we're talking about the spitting in the mirror, so if you think, but like back to like what that comes from, is that scene when Rebecca tells him, okay, well, this is how I empower myself, is by making myself really talk. And we absolutely view all the humor in that scene for what it is, and it's fun, and we get to see Rebecca doing a funny thing, and they're like in awe of her, and that's really fun. And then you see what it kind of leads to, which is that moment in the mirror. That's sort of Nate's take home from that, and that suddenly becomes really dramatic and quite emotional and really important, actually, for the big heel turn at the end of the season, where he confronts Ted, and you just think how clever they are as writers, just generally speaking, to kind of manage to walk this line of comedic sort of storytelling and dramatic storytelling and emotional storytelling without you really realizing it as a viewer, or a reader. You're just sort of, you're there on this ride, and you suddenly realize you're being pulled in all these different directions. They're so clever.
So so the thing about season 2, continuing the sort of Star Wars references that we were talking about at the beginning of this conversation. So Jason described season 2 of Ted Lasso as the Empire Strikes Back of Ted Lasso. So with all the depth and all the big swings that y'all have taken in season 2, whether you have the Christmas episode or the After Hours episode with Brendan Hunt, and then you have the centerpiece of this season is the funeral of Rebecca's father. And my goodness, I just want to start by saying something that Brendan said about you, Hannah. He said your performance in that episode was so strong, you shouldn't just win an Emmy, you should win an Oscar.
Yeah, copy that.
That's my vote. Yeah.
Silly sausage. How nice.
Well, what was it like for you, Hannah, especially filming that episode, filming the speech in front of the entire cast, and of course, launching into the song?
Scott, what most people don't know, and what my lovely companions here know, is that, and I'm going to have to get used to saying this, it's actually quite cathartic. On that very day, my own father was having emergency quintuple open heart surgery.
Oh my goodness.
And these people here got me through it. They did, and they've become my companions and my family in real life. Sorry, I've not talked about it for a long time. And it was those faces, there was no worry about performing in front of them, because they have very much become my companions. And certainly through that time, because my dad had been taken into hospital the day before we shot the wake, the wake afterwards. So that's the first day that I thought my dad was being operated on. And I was saying to Juno that day, I was just like, keep me occupied, keep my brain occupied. If you see me drifting off, don't let me look at my phone. If you see me drifting off, say something funny or silly and just keep me. I had some humdingers from her. I was like, that's not funny, that's just ridiculous. And then and then it didn't happen that day. And then the next time he was meant to be having it, I was standing in front of Rebecca's dad's hearse. And then the day I finally knew it was happening, because I'd said goodbye to my own dad in real life, just in case, was the day I was standing in front of the coffin giving the eulogy. And I will never forget that all my life. And the reason I won't forget it is because of this lot looking up at me going, come on, the girl, come on, come on. And it was the weirdest art meets life moment of my life. And in a way, I'm glad that I had that as a release that day. And Harriet Walter kept saying to me, I don't know how you're doing this. And I was saying, I feel like this has been sent to me today to allow me to grieve.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And how cathartic, Hannah, for you that this is like, I think the only time, or one of the only times in both of these seasons that the entire cast was with you.
It was weird. It was awful in one way for me because I had to turn up. I had to turn up. And I was thinking, don't let this operation be happening on this day. And then, of course, I had to turn up. But looking at their faces, and myself and Jason had done quite a bit of tweaking on the scene because at first
I was going to say, you suggested the singing,
Yeah.
the joint that he joined in. I remember that.
I don't believe that anyone could, even if she is singing because she can't speak, I don't believe anybody could sing an entire song. Being a singer myself, I said, I don't think that would happen. And he said, unbelievably, I couldn't believe he was saying it to me in his trailer. He said, well, how do you see it going? And I was like, okay, well, I think her new family, which she's now really realizing they are and accepting them into her bloodstream, I think her new family would help her out. And he went, okay, who would it be first? And I went, you, Ted would be first. Then it would be Keely. And then I think her new love, her new family member in whatever way. And I think that would be Sam. And he went, okay, that's what we'll do.
I have to say that watching that scene for a second time, even though I knew it was coming, what struck me the second time especially was just how absolutely genuine and organic and authentic all of that emotion played out. And, you know, now we know why. And thank you so much for sharing that. And Toheeb, I would love to get your take on that scene as well, filming that scene, particularly because you have everyone together in the same place.
You know, like when we're all together as a group, like we are a rowdy bunch, especially the players. It's like we're a noisy, like it's like children sometimes. And so, but like it really is like a true testament to like how powerful that scene was and how incredible that performance was. Because like in that church hall, you could hear a pin drop the entire day, and like literally every single one of us, plus a million, you know, like supporting artists. Every single one of us was tuned in, all the grips, all the camera people, like makeup team, costumes, everybody on set that day was 100% wired in. Like it's one of those days you like dream of at work where everybody's like focused on one thing. So yeah, it was dope. And like Sam's part in it, like of just like watching somebody that you have this kind of like soul bond with go through something like that, especially knowing like you can't do anything to like show your support. You can't like, do you know what I mean? Like you can't like go and hug her, you can't like speak to her, like this whole thing's kind of still a secret. But so like that moment of like being able to just like join her in song is beautiful. And yeah, like yeah, I just like take my hat off to the writers, I take my hat off to you guys and everybody there. Like it was an incredible day at work.
And Hannah didn't just nail it like once, she nailed it again and again and again and again. I mean, I don't know, Hannah, like if you remember how long that took, but it felt like it must have been easily 2 hours of doing just that thing of just when when it's on you, and it was just every single time it was pin drop raw emotion. I can't lie to you, territory.
Scott, it got annoying. I was like, she can't nail it a second. Like I was like, she's not gonna do it again.
Also nailing it when the camera wasn't even on her for our reactions. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that was something that really struck me as well. It was a day where it wasn't just like, oh great, this is a great moment for Rebecca. It was like, Hannah, you gave it all the time on everybody's coverage. I know, but but I think I agree. But I think also take our hat off to you for that, for a scene, which yes, when it was paralleling your personal life in that moment, but also something that is just an emotionally challenging thing to keep doing, singing and being heartbroken. That's a lot. And to be doing that when the camera is not pointed at you, to make sure that we all had our heart broken over and over again. It was just, it was a really amazing day.
You know what, why I say it was, in a way, looking back, I was grateful for that day, is because I had no power or control over what was happening to my own father, but I could make damn sure that day was good in a different way.
Wow, amazing. Really, really amazing. And just thank you so much for sharing. And now we see why that scene, and particularly the entire season, has been so great. And Hannah, I just want to close out one more question for you. For people who've only seen season 2 once, what would you say to them to say, this is why you need to watch season 2 a second time?
I would say it's because everyone has a lightness and a darkness, and the group of players that are in this show ebb and flow through that like no one I've ever seen.
Bravo. Bravo to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us for this amazing conversation on A Half Hour With. And big, huge thanks to our friends at Apple TV Plus for making this conversation happen. This is absolutely one for the books. And, please continue to be well, and best of luck on season 3. And I really hope I get to see y'all in person soon, one of these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so
Thank you.
Such a wonderful episode.